You're listening to 107.9 WRML LP Mays Landing. Coming up next, a look at last week's retro video game news with the RGN Files for the week ending Sunday, March 11, 2018. In the RGN Files this week, video games and board games have always gone hand in hand, with board games based on some of the most popular brands being developed since the very beginning. Over the years, board games based on Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Super Mario Bros. Have taken the world by storm. However, one of the newest ones into this mix is a new title coming out this summer called Sonic the Hedgehog Crash Course. The game, which was announced by Game Nerds and IDW Games, takes Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Dr. Robotnik onto a crash course for the Chaos Emeralds. Speeding through the classic Green Hill Zone, players in Crash Course race to be the first player to collect the most Chaos Emeralds. Designed to be played by 2 to 4 people and to be completed within 45 minutes, the game's board gets uniquely built as the game progresses, meaning that no two games will ever be alike. The game will include a variety of item tokens, such as the Chaos Emeralds themselves, along with extra lives and characters, and will also include 4 miniature figurines of the classic Sonic the Hedgehog characters. The game is currently available for pre-order for the cost of just under $19, but has a suggested retail price of about $30. The game is scheduled to be shipped on June 25th of this year. A new homebrew title is currently in the works for Nintendo's short-lived Virtual Boy platform. The game, entitled Jan's World, has been in the works for some time now, with earlier updates about the game being made by one of the members of the development team, Hiraga, via Twitter this past May. There's actually not a lot of information presently available about the game. However, like some of the better titles for the Virtual Boy, the game is a side-scrolling platformer that could be compared to Wario Land on the same console. The game is presently being programmed and tested using the Fusion game engine, a common one used for independent PC game development. Hiraga has also hinted that Jan's World might actually be seeing a physical cartridge release for use on actual Virtual Boy equipment, stating in a tweet that it has been tested on such hardware. There is currently no word on when the game would be completed and released, nor is there any word on an official distribution method or who would be producing the physical cartridges if that turns out to be factual. The original Virtual Boy console was released back in 1995 and was a failure for the Big N, selling only 770,000 units worldwide over the course of 6.5 months. One of the advancements in the world of the Nintendo Switch is that it has recently been made more accessible to independent programmers to make their own creations. It didn't take long for emulation software to become available on the console, which would allow other platforms to become playable on the device. A recent emulator for the Switch comes to us in the form of Portable Final Burn Alpha, which is an emulator that offers a variety of arcade cabinetry alongside of some similar home-based consoles of the era. The creation of a 37-year-old programmer from France, the emulator was originally offered for Linux-based computers as well as on the PlayStation Vita. The emulator simulates the hardware of a variety of different classic video arcade cabinetry from such companies as Capcom, Data East, IREM, Konami, and Taito. Examples of games playable include classics such as Marvel vs. Capcom, Burger Time, Pac-Man, and Contra. Because of the similarities, the emulator can also mimic various Sega-branded home video game consoles, including the Genesis and Game Gear, as well as the TurboGrafx 16 and ColecoVision. Note that this is currently a work in progress, and as such, some of the games may not function properly, have audio-visual errors, or in some cases may not function at all. This past Saturday was March the 10th, which many gamers have now classified as Mario Day. Using the first 3 letters of the word March immediately following the number 10 visually shows the word Mario, and the classic plumber has definitely taken notice. In celebration, Google released a temporary modification for its mobile Maps application, which replaces the standard arrow within a circle with Mario sitting in his infamous go-kart, driving along with you on your journey. If history repeats itself, this modification may be done to coincide with the release of Nintendo's upcoming Mario Kart Tour mobile game, which is slated to come out sometime within the next calendar year. To activate Mario on the device, enter your driving directions from within the Google Maps as usual, and tap the yellow question mark block to the side of the regular start button. Tap the question mark 100 times and you'll be treated to the 1-up sound, just like in the original NES Super Mario Bros. Title. This isn't the first time that Google has connected with video games, with Breakout, Pac-Man, and Pokemon being given various treatments throughout the years. This is a temporary offering from Google and is planned to be discontinued this coming Saturday. A new independent homebrew port of the computer game Stunt Car Driver is presently in development for the Atari Jaguar video game console. Stunt Car Driver was first released back in 1989 for a wide variety of computer systems of the era, including the Commodore 64, Amiga, DOS-based PCs, as well as the Atari ST. The game differs from other racing games of the era, in which the races take place on an elevated racetrack with nothing to stop the player from accidentally driving off the side of the road. Most racetracks in the game have gaps in them, which will cause serious problems to the driver if he or she fails to clear them. Turbo can also be used to make the car go faster, however can only be used for a limited time period. Thanks to the well-received homebrew port to the Atari 8-bit computer family recently, Atari Age Forum member Cyron J made the announcement that they will be giving the title its very first console port since the original 1989 release, with it coming to the Atari Jaguar. There is currently no word on an approximate completion date or distribution method, however what has been finished thus far includes basic graphics, a working speedometer, and sound effects. No music, however, has yet been programmed. The original Stunt Car Driver was developed by Jeff Crammon in 1989. And finally this week, earlier this year, Hyperkin released their new Super Retron HD to American gamers, which offers a modern way to play Super NES video games on modern television sets. The Super Retron HD allows classic gamers the opportunity to play their existing Super NES cartridge collection using a high-definition television set, not just in connection compatibility, but with upgraded video and sound by using an emulation method. Most gamers know that hooking up an original 90s era console to a modern TV simply doesn't look the best due to overcompensation with the graphics, alongside with input lag that happens when using a non-HDMI input. While the console was released in the United States this past January, gamers from across the pond were originally told that the system would become available for purchase this past Friday. However, due to undisclosed reasonings, the console has been delayed in the United Kingdom by a single week, now slated to become available this Friday, March 16th. The Super Retron HD offers 720p high-definition video, compatibility with NTSC and PAL cartridges, a physical aspect ratio switch, and two Super NES-style controllers. Selling for about $70 here in the United States, the suggested retail price from within the United Kingdom is just under 80 British pounds. That's it for this week's edition of the RGN Files. For those listening on VGM on FM, please stay tuned. There'll be more video game music coming up shortly. For those listening on Retro Game Network, we thank you for listening and hope you'll tune in again next time. For the Retro Game Network, I'm Christopher Chrisman. For complete details of any of this week's stories, visit RetroGameNetwork.com. This week's news stories provided by the following: Atari Age, Eurogamer, Funstock Retro, Gaming on Batteries, GBA Temp Forums, Indie Retro News, Lifehacker, Retro Gaming Magazine, Sega Bits, Sonic Stadium, Switch Brew. You're listening to VGM on FM on 107.9 WRML. Now, back to the music.